We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens, folks. We're back. Great timing. Great timing for the It's Over. We're back. First inaugural draft. I think we should do this a few times throughout the season just because things fluctuate throughout the course of an NBA season. It seems over for some teams right now. I'm sure in 2 months it will feel like they're back. But the concept of this episode is appropriate timing as a Philadelphia 76ers fan as I sit here. Is the It's Over, We're Back draft. So, you know the meme. It's over will be the first 2 picks. So each of us will select a team we think it's over for. A team, or I just kind of kept it like vague, but mostly a team focused around a team in general. I have some surprises I'm going to throw in there as well. And then the other person will have to make an argument why they're actually back and things are not over for them. And then we're back on the second time around, and then the other person has to argue why they're not back and it's actually over for them. So, for example, if a team fucking sucks right now, I'll just start with the first pick, actually. Why don't I start with the first pick?
Okay, you start this time.
Because I want to get this out of the way. I know everyone probably wants me to take the Sixers. We'll talk about the Sixers. Stay tuned. But I want to get this out of the way before you can make this pick. Because I know that you're jumping at the bit here to make this pick. But with the first pick in the It's Over, We're Back draft, I would like to select the team that just lost to your favorite team last night.
Come on.
It is over for the Milwaukee Bucks as NBA championship contenders.
I shouldn't have tipped my hand bitching about how bad they were in the group chat last night.
I never take the first pick. I never take the first pick. And I was like, you know what? I want the first pick for this one because I know the team that you're going to argue is over for. I don't want to have to make the argument on the other side. So here's my case for why it's over.
Okay.
Do Dame and Giannis hate each other? Will pointed this out yesterday. They're seemingly throwing shade at each other in the media a little bit. Every Giannis comment sounds like it could be directed towards Dame.
Yeah.
I think yesterday the comment from Dame was that they have to hold each other accountable before the game. Giannis said for the second time that I can remember since they got Dame, he said, we don't have an identity right now. How are we going to win the game? Are we going to defend for 48 minutes? Are we going to move the ball for 48 minutes? Are we going to attack? We've got to find an identity. We don't have that right now. So Doc Rivers is now, I believe he's 18-22 as the Bucks head coach since he took over, since he backstabbed Adrian Griffin last year in the middle of the season, who, by the way, still in the top 5 for winning percentages among NBA coaches in NBA history. Not to hand it to ISIS at all with Adrian Griffin, but it does seem like all of the same issues are there. It does seem like, look, this team's not getting any younger. This team is very old. Some of the role players they added are more in their prime. Taurean Prince, who as of yesterday was leading the Bucks in minutes, even more minutes than Giannis, the Darvin Ham effect. And on top of that, it seems like the reason why I want to say it's over for them as contenders is because a Bucks fan brought this up in the Discord yesterday, and I feel like it really does ring true. They kind of act like they're the LeBron Cavs, where they could just flip a switch and everything will be fine. But they've lost to the Bulls. They've lost to the Nets, the Brooklyn Nets, who, look, everyone, we said they should have won, more than 18 games, wherever their line was, but no one expected them to be anything better than, the second or third worst team in the NBA. They lose to them. They then go to Boston, and in that game, the Bucks, they were kind of hanging in the first half, but then the second half, the wheels just came off. And once again, this team is just, they don't get up they try to get up for big games. They try to kind of coast through games that are more casual on the schedule, and they're just not good enough to do that. And I just think that they haven't shown really consistently good basketball with Doc Rivers, without Doc Rivers. They can't defend. I think that it's over for them as contenders, and I don't know how they get out of it.
I mean, they're just old, like they're on top of everything else. Part of the thing when I was watching the game yesterday was I was kind of shocked how good Brook Lopez looked, like specifically in that game. I know you said that you've watched him a couple other times and he's like looked old, but like I was like, if Brook looks this good, and he's like 38 or whatever he is,
37,
like,
I think.
Yeah.
Or 36, 37, yeah.
If he's the one who like looks good, like what's going on with everybody else? They're not that talented. At some of these other places, they're outside of Giannis, everybody is aging or like on the wrong side of 30, and Giannis is getting close to that, I think, if he's not there already, to be honest. But,
I think he's 29. He's almost 30.
Doc is.
This is a great argument for the Bucks, by the way.
What?
You're supposed to make the argument for the Bucks not being done.
Oh, well, no, I don't want to do. Is that's how the draft?
That's how the draft works. That's why I picked them. So you have to make the argument that it's not over for them.
Oh, Jesus. All right, I very much believe this. I very much believe what I'm about to say.
The Discord said this is perfect for your contrarian brain.
It is in a way. Okay. Dame was shooting the lights out of the ball last night. Chris Middleton, not back yet. If Chris Middleton gets healthy, he's very important to their team. They've had a lot of pieces move around on this team, and then you kind of need some time to gel. Have they had a lot of pieces move around? Who's to say? But to me, they've had a lot of pieces move around. Malik Beasley is gone. They have.
Sam is on his Johnny Cochran right now. Deep down, he knows.
The East is weak. This year. Maybe the Bucks just get healthy at the right time, and they could Miami Heat it. Giannis is a playoff player. He's a playoff riser, and he always gets hurt. And maybe Giannis getting hurt in the playoffs has kind of made the Bucks seem like bigger playoff droppers than they actually are, just because of the timing of some of their injuries and when those occur. So maybe if they're all healthy at the right time, this was a championship core, albeit with Drew swapped in for Dame, but Dame has had times where he's looked bad. He's had times where he's looked good. So, you never know until you get into the playoffs. Matchups can be very dependent on some of these things. So even if they have a bad regular season and, maybe they do have a bad regular season, all they've got to do is kind of get to the playoffs, and they could play with anybody. I mean, lost in all of this is the fact that they did hang with the Celtics for a substantial portion of that game last night. And the Celtics did need like a Kobe Bryant.
Pistons, I do just want to point out the Detroit Pistons were winning in the fourth quarter. Anyway, continue.
But they needed a Kobe Bryant performance from Peyton Pritchard, I would say, is the difference, because the Pistons got burned by Jason Tatum having an awesome game. The Bucks were able to slow Jason Tatum down and harass him around the rim. That
was the first underwhelming Tatum game of the whole year. He was incredible in the first three games.
Well, I think the Bucks were the first team to really deny the Celtics the paint. When you deny the Celtics the paint and you force them to shoot threes, they get a little tighter and they start missing some of those threes. So I do think they defended the Celtics pretty well. There's a case to be made for some of these matchups that they can kind of work on some of these other things, but I don't know, man. Long story short, anything's possible in the playoffs, and they would have the best player in a series in pretty much any series they would play. And you always have a chance when you have the best player in a series. So
that's
worth
fair.
At least seeing out.
The one thing I will say about the Bucks is that the Middleton thing is funny to me, because it's like they had this graphic yesterday on NBA TV, and they were like, do the Bucks miss Chris Middleton? And then they showed their record with him and without him since last year. And they were better without him. It's right. The record was not that great with him. And I was like, I feel like this is an argument against them needing him. But it's not to say that Chris Middleton is a good player. We saw him do it in the playoffs, where he just has these random games where he catches fire and he turns into Kevin Durant and he scores 45 points. And, look, it's not to say that there's no chance. Like we talked about this a little bit in terms of, can they win a playoff series? Yeah, I mean, I think they almost did last year and they didn't have Giannis. So I think the fact that you can't get them at as winning a playoff series, it starts to get hard to see for me when you're talking about winning multiple playoff series against different kind of matchups. The defense is just not good. And I think Middleton helps their offense a lot. And the fact that he can scale up when Giannis or Dame are out is also beneficial to this team. But it also hurts their defense. Like especially coming back from double ankle surgery now, where I don't think he's going to be able to guard on the perimeter nearly as well as he used to. He was always like a pretty solid defender, especially at his prime when he was like the 5th best defender on the court when it was, Drew Holiday, Brook Lopez, Giannis, and PJ Tucker during the championship year. I just think that they're going to be asking way too much of that defense right now. Like, Gary Trent Jr. is better than Malik Beasley, but he's not a stopper. And the one win they have this year was against the Sixers without Paul George and Joel Embiid. And the Sixers have looked like dog shit to start the year. They really just have not been. Without those two, they're just not really a good team at all. If anything, they're probably one of the 5 or 6 worst teams in the NBA. And they shot the shit out of the ball in that game. And also the fact that you're missing Paul George and Joel Embiid, who are the 2 biggest players other than Yabusele and Drummond, who aren't really starter level players in their rotation. The Bucks are just going to destroy a team that is that small and not able to. But the thing is that when you get to the playoffs, you're going to run into a matchup, whether it's the Magic, the Cavs. I'm not even talking about the Celtics. Like, if we could ever get the Sixers healthy, where I think that the Bucks are going to have a lot of trouble stopping certain players on that team. Like even the Magic, who have an underwhelming half-court offense and underwhelming offense in general, and always have these guys that have the ability to kind of go off. Like Suggs was on fire yesterday. Paolo had 50 points. So I don't know. I think from series to series, it will be hard for me to see them winning multiple series. When you have Giannis, you always have a chance, but the vibes have just never been corrected there. And I'm willing to bet that it all comes back to the Giannis and Dame thing. Like, I just don't think that those two can win together. I think they can score points together. I think they can have a good offense. I don't see them as maximizing each other. I don't see them as being synergistic. And I think that in order to win a championship, that's what you need. Not to win a playoff series, not to win some games. In order to win a championship, your 2 best players need to complement each other. And I don't think they complement each other really at all. So that would be my argument on why I think it's over for them as contenders. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they get Middleton back and maybe they go on a run and they figure some stuff out. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. So now it is your choice for the It's Over draft, and I will argue why the team is not done.
So I have to say why it's over. I can't take the side of back.
You could pick. No, right now we're going to do 2 It's Over, and then we'll do 2 We're Back.
I see how you've set this up. I wanted to trap you the way you trapped me.
You can still trap me. We could go snake draft style. You could do back to back. So we'll do It's Over, We're Back.
No, because what I want to do is I want to argue the It's Back to make you argue the It's Over. All right, I'll just go here. I'll be polite. The Denver Nuggets. Giannis, Jokic window shut. Is that what I'm hearing? They needed overtime to beat the fucking Raptors yesterday. I can't
also,
imagine...
by the way, Scotty Barnes got hurt at the end of that game and didn't play in overtime.
Yeah, so they got pretty much a masterpiece Jokic game. They're a dog shit team who didn't shoot. I think I saw the Raptors shot like 30% from 3 in that game as well. Just a lot of really bad things, and they barely won against what I think is one of the low-key like worst teams in the NBA. Definitely that team should be winless right now. I can't imagine who might have lost to a team like that. But the fact that it took Denver to go there, and Denver is a team that, like, this time last year, we were talking about their repeat chances.
Yes.
I think that is what is so startling about this and so upsetting. Also, like,
They blew a 20-point lead in a game 7 to go to the Western Conference Finals, and like might, like, honestly, if they get through that series, have a puncher's chance to win the title still.
Possibly, very possibly. And they were, or to go to the conference finals. They would have, still would have had to beat Dallas. But, like, okay. Well, I see what you're, sorry. I thought you meant the Boston to win the championship. But I think what's so startling too is they played, pretty sure they played 8 players last night. Like, everybody who came off the bench, but Julian
Playoff
Strawther,
rotation in October isn't good.
I think everyone but Julian Strawther coming off the bench played single-digit minutes in an overtime game. That's alarming. That's, like, really alarming for a team in October that has really not played that many good teams besides the Thunder and is just getting, like, needs everything they can get to survive against the Toronto Raptors team that's not very good and, quite frankly, is, like, not in good shape with a lot of this other stuff. So I don't know. Like, I think that maybe we might have underestimated just how fucked they were. Like, I think nobody liked this offseason that they had, like, letting KCP walk, but it's like KCP is, like, a fine player, but I didn't think he would be, like, damning. Like, it seems like they really are, like, falling apart at the seams, and they are just struggling for anyone off the bench to do anything, and it's just zeros across the board. Russell Westbrook's terrible. So
okay, so here's my argument back.
Yeah.
What happened 2 years ago when the Lakers traded Russell Westbrook at the deadline? What is happening to the Los Angeles Clippers right now after they have let Russell Westbrook go in free agency and just got back? So they got to the Western Conference Finals 2 years ago.
Yeah.
The Clippers looking like they're a little back right now post Westbrook.
I love this. So that's the
Denver Nuggets have waived Russell Westbrook simply due to the fact that his vibes could not be stood, and they have went out in free agency and they have signed, I don't know, Markelle Fultz or whoever, Lonnie Walker, whoever the best free agent is available right now. No, but in all seriousness, here's the argument for them. It's not being over for them. You just said that Giannis is, the best player in any series. You always have a shot.
Yeah.
Jokic is an actual playoff riser. I agree that Giannis is good in the playoffs. I wouldn't say, I think he's better in the regular season. I think that Jokic actually is the one who can scale up a little bit, can take another step. And who was the biggest threat to them last year? The Wolves, who ran a double big lineup and really were a thorn in Jokic's side and slowed down their offense as much as you possibly can, right?
Yeah.
So now this year they replace Karl Anthony Towns, who is not the greatest defender in the world, but at least can capably guard Jokic so that Gobert can roam on the back line and kind of smuck up their offense in the style that has proven to be somewhat successful against them in the playoffs. Jamal Murray can't be ass forever. I refuse to believe he just sucks now. Like, if he does, then it will be a weird historical thing where a guy is, really good for a year and a half, 2 years straight, comes back from this injury, and then all of a sudden is just not that guy anymore. That does not seem like it's going to hold forever. If it does, then yeah, maybe they are fucked. But in this argument I'm going to make, there is a chance. We discussed it a little bit on the Overreactions podcast last week. There's a chance they trade Michael Porter Jr. and get back some semblance of a normal team again. That's really their only way out of this in terms of building out depth again. Their biggest issue is that their bench is dog shit. They have the worst bench in the NBA. The second that Jokic checks out of a game, they can't do anything offensively. And then on top of that, I mean, a large part of that is due to the fact that Michael Porter Jr. is not a creator. Aaron Gordon is not a creator. Jamal Murray was a creator, and they still bled during those minutes, but it wasn't quite as bad as they've bled during the non-Jokic minutes this year. His on-off swings are going to be, I mean, every analytic is going to say he's double the next best player in terms of, impact this season, even if it doesn't, quite match, because it's really just the fact that when he goes out of the game, things swing so much. But long story short here, they could always trade Michael Porter Jr., maybe. 2, Jamal Murray won't be asked forever. And 3, they have the best player. And when you shrink rotations in the playoffs, yes, they've already been shrinking rotations. It hasn't looked great. But if you shrink rotations, if you could get to 7 guys, play 8, trust 7, I think that they have a puncher's chance in almost any series in the West. The Thunder would be the one where I have a hard time seeing them winning. But I also think that the Thunder are pretty much everyone's West favorite at this point. I think we were a little early on that, but I think that everyone's kind of come around to the idea that they're very clearly the best team in the Western Conference. But hey, they still haven't proven it in the playoffs. They're still very young, haven't proven it in the playoffs. The Nuggets have. So that's my argument back.
I think those are all solid. I mean, I think the Jokic one is probably the most salient, because again, you always have a chance in the playoffs when you have the best player in the series. Look at the Mavs. That's not necessarily a good team. They're just, Luka has gotten them to the conference finals a couple of times, and the finals once, just purely on the back of how good he is. So it is totally possible. I think the thing I would push back on for the Nuggets versus the Bucks is the Bucks have the benefit of playing in the East, where there are essentially 5 to 6 completely non-competitive teams. And meanwhile, if the Lakers are good, and the Warriors are genuinely good, those are the teams I picked to be bad. There is no friggin' wiggle room in the West. You could just fall apart. Even if you just get off to a slow start, that could be a death knell.
That's the thing, is that there were some people saying Nuggets in the play-in, and I was like, they have Jokic, but seeing how good the West is, it's like, I mean, there's an argument that it didn't even necessarily get that much better from last year, but what we've seen in the first few games, the Nuggets look that much worse. Yeah. And they're, like you said, they're needing Jokic to win, score 35, 40 points a game just to have a chance against these scrub-ass teams. Yeah. They do get the benefit of playing the Nets without Ben Simmons tonight, which could be a get-right game for them, because Ben Simmons has been maybe the worst player in the NBA. Did you hear Bill said that he thinks that the missing piece for the Knicks is Ben Simmons and they should get him on a buyout, which is not financially possible because of the new apron rules.
Yeah.
And also, he has been probably the worst player in the NBA so far this year.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if anyone who's watched any... Ben was cooking a little bit in the first half of game 1, but pretty much since then he has been hot ass. I
feel bad at this point, because it's just it's so easy to Westbrook and Ben. It's just easy to make fun of them. There's the hater.
There's no sport in it.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, you're right. You won. There's no one on the other side of this argument anymore.
Yeah, nobody's trying that. So yeah, I think to close out the Nuggets portion, I think it's possible, even if it's not that over, they might not be back.
It's definitely possible. All right. So would you like to pick the we're back first, or would you like me to pick the we're back first?
You can pick the we're back first.
Okay. I'll do a team.
Okay.
Just because, you know what? This will just make for fun podcasting. So,
okay,
I have a non-team that I do want to talk about at some point, but this is, since we're going team focus for now, I'll pick one.
Okay.
And I know that you're gonna have fun arguing the other side of this.
Okay.
The Lakers are back, baby.
Let's go. Thank you for this gift.
All right. So Anthony Davis has been probably the best player in the NBA so far this season. If not Jason Tatum or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, it's those three right now, I would say, have been the best players in the NBA so far. NBA Aaron Sorkin has solved basketball. JJ Redick, JJ Film Room has revolutionized the game with Vorp Schnorps, Spain pick and rolls, winner sets. They're running the famous Serbia set that everyone loves. Sometimes they run the Australia set that everyone loves. I mean, he's just crushing right now with the way that he's unlocked Austin Reeves. Rui Hachimura looks like a different player. Losing Darvin Ham, possibly the greatest addition by subtraction that we've seen. I'll be honest, I don't even believe this. I just need to hear you on the other side of this. I'll just dropping kayfabe. I do not think that this, I actually think the complete opposite, but for the bit, Anthony Davis is winning MVP. The Lakers are winning 55 games, and they will be the second best team in the Western Conference come playoff time.
Do you know how many players have played for the Lakers so far in games?
All right, well, I've watched almost all their games because they're always on fucking TV.
Yeah.
I literally think, and I mean, I could watch them on League Pass too, but well, let's see. LeBron, AD, Rui, I know Max Christie played last night. Mm-hmm. Dalton Knecht has played, Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, Gabe Vincent, Jackson Hayes, 9. I'm going to say 9.
It's exactly 9.
Yeah,
but
that's
Bronny,
the rotation.
But Bronny, who played 1 game for 3 minutes, obviously for the thing. So it's a 9-man rotation. Literally no one else on the team besides Bronny has gotten in. Besides that, like 9-man rotation. So they're playing very tight. They are. They're honestly not as old of a team as you might think. Bron is really the only guy who's like old on the team. Everybody else besides AD is 31, and everybody else is still in their 20s. So it's like they're not that old of a team. But the problem is they are the most top-heavy team in the league, and the 2 guys that are at the top are old and are injury-prone, which is again part of the huge reason that. Part of this. The other thing is you have one of the most Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde players of all time in D'Angelo Russell, who is personified. It's Jover, we're back. Like he is the single player who personifies that ideal more than pretty much anyone.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just think that this is like complete.
The Lakers media mafia, we've gotten them, folks. Sam has been killed. He has been shot. He was in the scope. JJ Redick he called up his shooters at playback and said, "Cut this shit off right now, bitch."
Okay, I won't. I'll stop. Put the gun down. Put the gun down. I love the Lakers. JJ Redick has done so much.
No podcast or media ever talk about the Lakers, so I think that we should do an extended period on this.
Extended period. Yeah. I just the other shoe is going to drop at some point. New coach, dead cat bounce. It's all fun and games when they're winning. Also, by the way, do you know the teams they've played?
They have played I watched every game. The Suns twice, the Kings, and the Wolves.
And the Wolves were the worst the Wolves have looked all season. Like the Wolves were completely discombobulated, and it was very obvious it was the first time they were ever playing together. I think the Suns are quietly turbo ass. And I think that splitting that series is bad.
How could you doubt Ryan Dunn?
I don't.
Welcome to Jackass, baby.
Okay. I think that. And I just don't think the Lakers, I think that this is one of the biggest and most obvious optical illusions that's ever happened in the early season. I think that as the further we get along into the season, the further this team will drop back. That said, if you are someone who works in the Lakers front office, this team is destined for the title. You must put your picks on the table and try to upgrade. Get Zach LaVine. You need him. Zach LaVine is a perfect fit for your team. Sacrifice the future. You guys are right there. You're one move away from the
pushing
title.
All the chips.
Yep.
One of my favorite ongoing bits that we have on the podcast is that I don't even think you notice you do this, but anytime the Lakers win a single game, you said this on the Patreon podcast the other day. You go, how did the Lakers win that game? Like they're incapable of ever winning
Correct.
like one game.
Correct. Correct.
You did it with the Warriors Lakers series 2 years ago.
Correct.
You did it with the Wolves opener this year.
Okay. The Lakers Warriors series, that was like genuinely baffling.
The answer to this is Anthony Davis. When Anthony Davis is healthy, he's great. He's a top 10 player.
Yeah.
We don't ever see him healthy for an extended period of time, but JJ Film Room has unlocked AD. He has tapped into, he's been meeting with shamans. They've been working on some ayahuasca treatments for him. They've been going to South America. His body, his soul is cleansed. It's healed. The Lakers are back.
I'm really glad that LeBron is 40. This fuckery is going to end soon.
Okay, I will say, dropping kayfabe.
Yeah.
I actually kind of think that might be true. And I know that LeBron had this crazy quarter against the Kings the other night, and he was amazing to watch. Yeah. And it's still awesome to watch LeBron perform at his age.
Yeah.
The majority of this season so far, the first 4 games, it's been the least athletic I've seen LeBron look. A lot of it is like he got hot from the field. He looked awesome for a stretch, and he could tap into that for stretches for sure. I mean, we saw it in the playoffs, back-to-back years, really in the playoffs, and in the in-season tournament last year. But it's starting to catch up to him a little bit. Like, I don't think he's ever going to be washed just because he's massive. He can shoot now. He's a basketball genius. Like, if LeBron wants to play until he's 45, he could just become a good role player. He can do that. I really do think that he could do that. But this is the first time that I felt like watching LeBron where I'm like, it looks a little bit like Jordan at the end. It looks a little bit like those stars when they get towards the end. I don't think it's over. I just don't think that it's ever going to be LeBron is amazing for a month straight. I think it's going to be LeBron's really good for 2 weeks, and then he's kind of mid for 2 weeks. And that's just the stage of the career. But the good point, the point that I still want to make about them potentially being contenders is that they still do have moves to make. And I think that this half a season, what you just joked about it, but I do think that JJ Redick kind of having the team performing as well as they have so far. And I don't think that they've destroyed, like they haven't played the Thunder, they haven't played the Celtics, they haven't even played like the Cavs, but they've beat everyone that's in front of them, and that's not an easy schedule to start by any means, I don't think. The Wolves are not an easy team. I think the Suns have been sneaky competitive so far this year. The Kings are the team I'm a little bit worried about, and we'll talk about them at some point today. But overall, I feel like to open the season that way, go 3-1, they even had a chance to win that game against the Suns last night at the end. I do think that there's a chance that they could be, at a minimum, that annoying team no one wants to play in the playoffs like they were 2 years ago. And I think that people always get mad at me because I always say coaching doesn't matter. It's all relative, right? Like, coaching doesn't matter if you have a bad team and it's going to take you to being a good team. Coaching doesn't matter as much as talent and roster management has always been my thing. And I still do believe that, except for maybe Spo. Having said that, if your coach hates you, like Monty Williams and Jaden Ivey and Darvin Ham and Austin Reeves last year clearly didn't get along, having a coach that doesn't hate you can do wonders for a player, I think. And having like a good relationship with your coach can help for sure. And I think at a minimum, they're in that honeymoon phase right now. I think they're going to win a lot of games, and they're at a minimum, they're NBA Cup contenders. And that's what it's all about, baby. The NBA Cup.
I think that might be the end game for them, to be totally
back to back.
Yeah, back to back, going back to back in the NBA Cup.
Jordan never won back to back NBA Cups. I mean, also before we move off from the Lakers, from Shams Charania, promising news for the Lakers development staff. They now add Christian Koloklo, I can never say his name right, to recent successes in Austin Reeves and Dalton Connect.
What?
Their development.
What does that mean?
They've developed Austin Reeves and Dalton Connect.
Oh, I see.
And now the pipeline is continuing.
I remember when the Lakers developed Dalton Connect for
23 years. He's been on their team for like 4 months.
Oh, a month, yeah. They developed him.
He's 23 years old.
JJ Redick kept going back to Tennessee, like on the sly. He was dressed in the Groucho Marx glasses, like next to him, saying, "Shoot, shoot."
He motivated. That's why he had his breakout year last year.
Yeah,
the greatest college shooter other than Steph went to Tennessee knowing he was laying low the whole year. The old man in the three was just a front operation while he was a mole for the Lakers. And he was at Tennessee coaching Dalton Connect so that they could draft him because they knew he was going to fall to 17. Every mock was wrong that said Dalton Connect was going in the lottery. And the Lakers are just playing the long game with this. They developed 23-year-old Dalton Connect who's been on their team for 4 months.
It's such a funny. Also, like Christian Coloco is like not good. I don't know.
Raptors fans told me he's the next Anthony Davis, so he gets to play under Anthony Davis. So
the Raptors fans are special, man.
They
really are like Rockets fans taken up a level. Like if you hit Rockets fans with like the venom from that Bane drinks, like that's sprayed
it across the whole country.
Yeah. Just amazing. They are really making some special arguments. Like only on Raptors Twitter will you have like somebody just straight up tell you that like Grady Dick is Ray Allen, like, and it's not a little bit facetious at all. So
I've always said that. I've always said Grady Dick. Kush got me feeling like the white Ray Allen.
Let's go.
All right, now it's your turn to pick a team. Who's back?
I think you know what. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Let's get this out of the way. I want to make the argument that the 0-4 Detroit Pistons are back. I think they are back. It's not Jover. They had 4 of the most competitive losses I have seen. I have been a huge Pistons guy.
Yep.
Jaden Ivey, once a castaway, trade flotsam, being put in trades for like
the Tom Hanks of the NBA.
Garbage rotation player X has genuinely looked very good. Cade, in spite of all of my slander, will regularly have a quarter where he does look genuinely dominant before going back to being kind of underwhelming. Honestly, Tobias is the worst player in their rotation. And I think if they like just hadn't signed Tobias, they probably would have won like a decent amount of these games, to be like completely honest.
Who could have seen that coming?
Fontecchio.
Who could have told you that Tobias has been horrible for a year now?
Fontecchio looks good with the team. Honestly, like Tim Hardaway, I'm not going to try to make the argument for Tim Hardaway Jr. Even I have like limits, but like he has not looked disastrous. He has looked just bad. Beasley has been good. Duren looks like he's back to being like the young up and coming like promising player, and like they have Beef Stew being like their 7th man, which is like a pretty good role for like Beef Stew. I feel like so like. I think that this is a team that like is genuinely competitive. They are not going to make the playoffs. They keep like losing. Their role is to like lose these heartbreak, really good games, but they're a genuinely competitive team, which I think means they're back for the Pistons. They do not look terrible. They are playing real basketball. JB Bickerstaff has this team playing real basketball, which I didn't think was possible coming into this year. So
I have to be very careful here.
Okay.
Because tomorrow the Sixers and the Pistons play in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And the Sixers will be without Paul George and Joel Embiid. And have looked honestly worse than the Pistons, even though they won a game without Joel Embiid and Paul George to start the year. The agenda war here, the Cade versus Maxey agenda war is not gone in my favor to start the season. And tomorrow night is a big night for my legacy, not only because it's Tobias's first game back, because it's Cade versus Maxey.
Yeah.
Here's why the Pistons are not back. One, they're the Detroit Pistons.
Okay.
Two, let me just get this out of the way.
Hard to argue with that first point, by the way.
It's basically a bulletproof argument. They are still the Detroit Pistons.
Yes.
I know the Bears are having a nice year in the NFL, right? Did you see what happened in that Commanders game the other day? Jaden Daniels, Hail Mary.
Well, I will say
that kind of shit only happens to the Bears and the Pistons.
That's true. That is true, yeah.
Okay, so here's my argument for why the Pistons are not really that sneaky competitive. They did this the entire losing streak last year. They still no. Look, did I say that they were going to be a historically bad team again this year? No, I think their net rating already shows that they're not. I think that their close losses show that they're probably not going to be historically bad. But why I don't even think they're going to be a competitive team is largely due to the fact that through these first few games, I think that they definitely have more to look forward to long term. Like, it seems like Cade's really coming into his own. Ivy is at least a player, but still, like, they don't have an efficient enough offense. Their defense has kind of been like sneaky. I mean, this could be wrong. This is just literally vibes based. They could be like 29th in defense. I could be completely wrong here. But their defense has at least looked competent to start the year. And I think a lot of that is going back to not hating the coach and having some form of structure. But like, I'm having this team, when you look across the league and you look at the talent every single night that we're getting, they get up for big games, but they can just never fucking close these games. It has been going on for like years at this point. Whether it's Cade kind of like turning it over a ton in the fourth quarter, he already has 7 turnovers in the first quarter, in the fourth quarter to start the season. I also believe I actually had a fact written up here because I had a thought you were going to do this. Cade is 7 for 25 in the first quarter with 7 turnovers to start the year. Now, he starts games really well, but the thing is that they just don't like, even with Cade looking better, the mid-range shot is really falling. I think he's shooting like 66% in that middle range, which I think will regress from like 10 to like 14 feet. He's shooting 66%. The only player in the NBA who does that is Nikola Jokic. Like, that just is not sustainable at all. Even when he's on the court, they have a below average offense. Like, they have like a 110, 111 offensive rating. And that it's so early, you can't really take much from that. But if I'm arguing against it, it's like their competence level and their competitive level on a night-to-night basis might be better. But there are just no easy wins in the NBA anymore. There just aren't. Sure. Like, and they were, I don't even think they're an easy win like they used to be. So that might be the argument against it. Like, they could win 28 games or whatever because of that. But I still feel fine taking their under just because, like, even like the Hornets like look pretty decent when LaMelo's healthy. The Nets just like beat the Bucks, even though I just argued that the Bucks are done as contenders. Like, there are not easy wins across the NBA anymore. They really have, and the thing that I've been trying to like wrap my head around, and I think Cade's getting better. Like, just from the eye test, he's looked way, way better this year. Like, I don't give a shit what the stats say. Like, I just undeniably, he looks more in control of the game. He's making steps. He's making progress. There is this weird thing though, where like, it might be like the DeMar DeRozan corollary, where if a player plays in the style that those two guys play in. Now, Cade's a better passer than DeMar, so maybe he can overcome this, and also has potential to be a better three-point shooter. I think he's shooting like 38% to start the year from 39%. If that sustains, he's a different kind of player. But if he's just this guy that kind of cooks in the mid-range, runs pick and roll, I do think that there is a limit to what your shot profile looks like. Like, he doesn't get to the line, it's on DeMar gets to the line. So that's kind of the thing that like balances it out a little bit, where it's just tough as teams take more and more threes in the NBA to have a guy who isn't like a high volume 3-point shooter that is incredibly efficient. Now, maybe he gets there, but so far in his career, he has not been a good 3-point shooter. And it's hard for me to see, unless he gets to that level, that their offense can shoot enough threes, get to the line enough, get to the rim enough to ever be a really good offense with him as the centerpiece. Now, look, maybe he gets better and I'm wrong on this. I mean, they might just get better pieces around him, but that's just kind of where I'm at right now, despite the fact that, like, if I were a Pistons fan, I would be really excited about the start of this season, even if they're 0-4. Like, I wouldn't give a fuck, because I think long-term, things look way better now than they ever have the last few years. I just still think they're going to suck this year.
It's possible. I mean, like, well, let me be clear when I say that they're back. I mean that, like, they could be the best of that 5-team dregs at the bottom. You know, like I think they could be better than like the Bulls and the Raptors.
But this is my thing about the Bulls. And we might talk about the Bulls at some point during this. The Bulls, because they got rid of DeMar, have now made the in their first 4 games of the season, 3 of their most made 3-point attempts. I'm sorry. Okay, let me start again here. 3 of the top 6 games in 3-point attempts in Bulls history have happened this season. But that's the thing when I talk about like the DeMar, and maybe Cade can overcome that if he becomes a better 3-point shooter. But if a guy just like dribbles the air out of the ball, controls the pace, and isn't a high volume efficient 3-point shooter as your main guy, how do you get your offense to take a ton of threes and keep up with the Celtics of the league, keep up with the OKCs, keep up with now the Bulls, who just got rid of DeMar DeRozan and now are shooting a ton of threes? Maybe they can get there, but for now, I think that it's going to take some time.
I'll say I was very encouraged, and part of the reason I'm kind of high and I've enjoyed watching the Pistons is I do think a lot of the Cade heliocentrism anecdotally is dead. I mean, maybe it's still the same as it was, but it looks like they're playing more in a flow.
They started to last year, to be honest. They got away from the Cade Helios, and he was better down the stretch. I was even more optimistic about Cade after like January, because like he was like I know it's some of that stuff can be Mickey, but like I think the fact that they went away from that so that it's not everything's on his shoulders is going to make it better for everyone.
Yeah. No, it's going to be interesting to see for sure. I trust I think the Pistons could be a lot better with some of this stuff and getting some of that figured out.
Well, right now the Pistons are currently, I was trying to find to see where they are. Yeah, they're shooting 35 threes per game to start the year.
Wow.
The Celtics are shooting 50 a game. The Warriors are shooting 47. The Bulls are shooting 46.8. So they're still towards the bottom of the league in terms of how many threes they actually attempt per game. And that's something that I want to see go up, just because if you want to steal wins, that's the way to do it. The reason why the Bulls are 2-2 right now is because they just put up a shit. You don't have to be good. You just have to have willing 3-point shooters who move the ball and shoot the shit out of the ball. And that's really what I think. Right now, if you were to look at Detroit, they're 16th in that. If they can rise up the ranks and get into the top 10, I could buy into it. But for now, I just don't think that they're talented enough to win games based on only their talent. They have to come up with strategic ways to win these games. All right, it's over rankings. Do you want to go first? You want me to go first for this one?
You go first on this one. Yeah.
Well, man, this is going to be another fun one. Did a new 2021 Atlanta Hawks just drop with the Indiana Pacers?
God, wait, I have to argue against this? Fuck.
You have to argue for them.
God damn it.
Okay, so Hallie has looked discombobulated to start the season at a minimum. This is great because now I have to make you argue in favor of Halliburton.
I know, you really fucked me twice here.
This is amazing.
Trying to make me argue. You're testing my contrarianism where it's like just making me just say things I don't believe in. But anyway, keep going.
So we're shooting 33% from the field right now. By the way, there's one you can pick that I easily have no argument back towards. It's very obvious. I don't know why you haven't made it yet, but he's shooting 33% from the field, had the worst game of his NBA career against the Knicks in the Garden.
they do play in the East for starters. The like Halliburton, a bunch of their guys are just shooting like abysmally bad, like, and that will catch up a little bit. I do think that they have some of these guys are younger. Guys like Jarris Walker are getting like their first real NBA playing time. And he looks like it. But you know, he is for real here. I mean, I do think there probably is a little bit of what's the word? Regression to the mean a little bit. This is a team that was also kind of thrown together in the middle of the season last year, like after the trade deadline. Like Pascal Siakam came in and it really changed their identity. And there's a chance that might have put everyone kind of more on the fact that like this is a regular season team. Like they were very much built as a regular season team up until the Pascal Siakam trade. Then they took Pascal Siakam and that team brought it into the playoffs and performed very well. Now the bar is very high, but they do kind of have this team that is not as, I'd say with Pascal Siakam, they're not as prone to get out and run. I think that there is they have to play a little bit more methodically, a little bit more like a team. And I think that they are a little less circusy to not lean on something a little bit. So I think there's a chance that they could, just like the argument I made for the Bucks, as long as they make the playoffs, they could, hang with anybody in that sort of a series. Halliburton is good. Halliburton's good.
This is why I wanted to pick. This is great. This is why I picked them. I could have picked the Sixers, and you could have done your let me pander to the fans and whatever.
Right,
but you having to say these words on the podcast is
Halliburton is so good at dressing. He is so good at interviewing Obama. There are so many things
positive things to say.
He's
a nice young man.
About Tyrese Halliburton.
Is Tyrese Halliburton a nice young man merchant?
He might be.
Are both the Tyreses? Oh, please. All right, anyway.
I just like to point out Nembhard has more assists than him so far. Anyway.
What is Nembhard shooting for the field? Just a quick question. By the way, how many points is Nembhard averaging? Oh, how many points is future star Andrew Nembhard? Is it half of Dennis Schroeder's? Anyway,
it's fine. He has to. Halliburton hasn't figured out it's them.
By the way, points per game are the only thing I care about because Maxi's averaging 31 points per game right now. Efficiency is fake. It's a liberal lie. It's made up. It's all fucking bullshit. Don't believe true shooting was invented by Will and his fucking neoliberal state media to put down the real hoopers of the world. Maxi, keep shooting. I love you, King. Anyway, continue.
I do genuinely don't. I think it's very hard for it to be Jover for a team in the East that is not one of those bottom 5 bad teams. So even if the opposite argument I made, like for the Nuggets, is relevant to the Pacers. The Pacers could be dog shit pretty much up through January and still be like a play-in team that can be kind of dangerous.
And then lose in the first round, like the 2022 Atlanta Hawks.
Possibly.
It is very funny that every year so you know how the NFL has the Super Bowl curse?
Yeah.
Like you lose the Super Bowl and then the next year you kind of have a weird year.
The conference finals curse?
The conference finals curse, if you look at the last 4 conference finals?
Yeah.
Because you think about the Atlanta Hawks in 2021, then they were in the play-in the next year. They got destroyed by the Miami Heat in the first round.
Yeah.
The 2022 season, was that the Lakers or was that 2023?
That was 2022. Was the Warriors
Mavericks?
Were playing
no, it was the Mavericks.
Yeah,
the Mavericks, and then they got the 10th pick after that because remember they had to throw the game because it was a top 10 protected pick, and then they got Derek Lively.
Yeah.
So there was the Mavericks. 2023 was I guess it was the Lakers.
It was the Celtics and the Lakers, I think, right?
And then the Heat kind of too. Like, I mean, because
the Heat made the finals, but
they were, that's true. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But still, there's always one or two teams that make it to the conference finals nowadays that just disappoint the next year. I don't even know if they win a playoff series. Is my point.
Yeah,
I'm getting at here. It might be just hard to play that much basketball and continue to. And once again, it did feel, even at the time, it felt a little Mickey with the Pacers just because of the injury luck. But also being healthy is like the biggest part of almost every playoffs now. That is just the fact of the playoffs. Is like, if your guys are healthy, you're probably going to have a good chance at the championship. And then especially if you're a team like the Pacers, who have never been there before, they were on the other side of injury luck until it caught up with them in the conference finals. So, I would absolutely take that curse for the Sixers too. To be clear here, I would do anything to have a Mickey conference finals appearance at this point in the process here. So Pacers. I don't know. I feel like I think I had them at the 6 seed or the 7 seed.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they'll probably end up somewhere around there, but there's potential for it to be worse.
Sure.
So, right.
I'm arguing Jover, right?
Well, you're arguing. Yes, you are arguing Jover. You have another Jover pick here.
I have a Jover pick here.
Just do it. Pull the Band-Aid off.
No, I don't believe that though. That's the problem.
You don't believe the Sixers are done?
No, I don't. I can't make that argument. So
people are going to be listening to this podcast like, well, we wanted to hear his fucking opinion on the Sixers.
Yeah, well, Will is going to immediately call me a pandering baby. Let's do this. Staying on brand, I'm going to pick a 2-1 team.
The Warriors.
Yes.
I knew it.
Yes.
You're a witch, by the way. We already talked about this a little bit on the Patreon podcast where you said, I don't want DeJounte Murray to get hurt, but if someone has to get hurt on that team, you're like, I don't want anyone to ever get hurt. Yeah. And then DeJounte Murray, who never gets hurt, immediately got hurt. Yeah. And now you talked about it in the preseason where you're like, I think that the Warriors are going to be the worst team in the NBA if they lose Steph.
Yeah.
And Steph turned his ankle last night already. Twice.
So I just like, and again, like, who knows? I don't even think Steph is projected to miss a lot of time.
They said it's day to day. He'll probably miss the next game, maybe 2.
That's just what happens when your franchise player is a 37-year-old 6'2" guard. Like, I don't know. Like, it's tough in the league. I think that the Warriors have looked good so far. I also think they're playing maybe the best basketball that they can possibly play. And I think it is all heavily predicated on Steph. And seeing that even more, I don't think that, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I watched every Warriors games, but like the bits and pieces that I did catch, it still looked very much like they are still heavily reliant on Steph. And I have not been impressed by anybody who's not Brandon Podcast on that team. So
Wiggins resurgence. By the way, Wiggins and Kayvon Looney both having a resurgence this year.
I see. That's another reason. I don't believe that that's true.
All right, here's my argument for why it's not Jover for the Warriors.
Okay.
Through 2 games in the NBA, I don't care who they were playing, they look like the best team in the league. They destroyed in preseason. Buddy Hield's defense is not a great fit, but his offense should be even better than Clay was for them last year. Wiggins looks at least back to, he caught fire last night, but he looks normal again. He looks like Wiggins again. And that's the thing that they've really been missing is like just a passable athletic wing who is, a capable defender, and he has these spurts where he can carry the offense a little bit just by getting buckets like he was last night against the Clippers. I think everyone up until the Steph injury, everything looked great for the Warriors. Like they might be 3-0 right now if he doesn't get hurt. He does get hurt. That's a concern. I'm definitely worried about the non-Steph games. I'm still like very high on this team when compared to consensus. I had them as like the 5 seed in the preseason. I think they had potential to win 50 games. And I still believe that. Like there hasn't been nothing to show me. The one thing that you said preseason that has proven to be true, they're going to struggle against size. I definitely agree with that. Like Zubac ate them up last game when they played, and that will be a problem for them for sure. It's not going to be every night. They're going to be able to have tactical advantages on the other end where they can play off some of the bigger guys that they'll have to play against just because they have so much shooting. They have a lot of guys that fit. Milton being out already isn't great, but I kind of expected him to already be out. Yeah. Like I didn't really I liked his fit on this team, but I didn't expect him to be healthy the whole year. So I like Kyle Anderson's fit. Pods has shot like shit to start the year, but his on-off swings are still crazy because he just does all the little things for them.
Rebounding in particular.
The rebounding and the passing has been great so far from Pods. The only thing that I'm worried about with this team, and honestly, I think they should make a trade sooner rather than later just to get ahead of this. Kuminga has looked fucking terrible through 3 games. He has looked. Man
with no agenda. They should probably trade Kuminga.
No, I actually
look a contender.
I'm dropping the bit. Dropping the bit. I literally can't even do it with Kuminga. Okay. I did it with DeJounte Murray. I have said he has been so bad. It's not even like the Brandon Ingram thing where like, oh, like DeJounte Murray will occasionally hit like Brandon Ingram hit a game winner the other night, right? And I used to do like the Sixers need Brandon Ingram. I think Kuminga's been one of the 10 worst players in the NBA this season. Like, he fucks up their whole offense. He gets lost on defense. He made his first three finally in the Clippers game the other night. He's a horrible decision maker. He's always trying to attack mismatches, quote unquote, but they don't look like mismatches when he does. Like, he's just been dreadful in the preseason he was okay in the preseason, but in this start of the year. And I think that the move that I've talked to Joey from the Ramble Rock podcast, and the move that I remember throwing out there months ago that he also thinks could potentially happen is something like Gary Payton II, Looney, and Kuminga for Cam Johnson, or something along those lines. Now, maybe the Nets are like, why are we paying a guy already? Like, why are we trading Cam Johnson and then also wanting to pay a guy? But just something, getting a positive rotation wing back that isn't Jonathan Kuminga could do wonder for this teams. Because I just think that this team is not something like Kuminga might be able to work on another team. He's never going to work on the Warriors. It's the same thing as Oubre years ago. We're like, Oubre is a fine rotation wing for the Sixers. He was terrible because he just is not a read and react guy. And if you want to succeed on the Warriors, you need to be a read and react guy. And that's most of their team except for him. So I think trading him will solve a lot of problems for them. I don't think it's Jover for them. I think that they're still going to be around the same. Like the first two games, I was incredibly encouraged by how they looked. But obviously Buddy Hield's not going to shoot 70% from three the whole year. That was a big part of their first two wins, was they were just running teams off the court because Buddy couldn't miss. But still, I think he had 29 points in the first half of one of those games. It was unbelievable. Jesus. But long story short, I still feel fine about the Warriors, but the Steph injury and the Kuminga fit are the only things I'm really worried about. So, all right, now we're back. I'm not going with a team this time. I'm going off the beaten path a little bit.
Okay.
Is the 2021 draft class back?
Okay.
Through 4 games, Franz is shooting like 44% from 3.
Okay, yep.
Jalen Green has been maybe, if not the best pull-up shooter, one of the 3 best pull-up shooters in the NBA to start the season.
Awesome. Love it.
Extending over from last March, his hot run in last March into October, has a +6 BPM through 4 games.
Nice.
Has looked way more decisive, has looked way more downhill attacking, explosive, gets to the line, gets to the rim. He's been low-key kind of a Morey ball player this year. They've changed his shot profile to where he's only getting to the rim, the line, and shooting threes, and it's been great. Cade, as I mentioned before, like, I don't care what the stats say. I actually think his stats are better. Even if the offensive efficiency isn't there, just from the eye test, Cade has looked awesome at times this year.
Yeah.
The Pacers game, he looked awesome. The Celtics game, he had his stretches where he looked awesome. Like, undeniably looked really good. And Scotty Barnes has been great. He laid an egg in the first game, and he's been great in the last few. Santi Aldama is making a huge leap so far this year.
Yeah.
He had 9. We had that hot shooting game in the first game. Then he had 9 rebounds in the first quarter of yesterday's game. And the only guy that hasn't really looked great, like Evan Mobley looks like he's bouncing back nicely. The only guy that hasn't looked great is Şengün. And I think Şengün will be fine. Like, Şengün has proven he's good for years. So even if the defense isn't perfect and like he gets pulled sometimes, I think he'll balance out and be fine. And then honestly, even like it pains me to say this once again, don't want to hand it to ISIS. Even Josh Giddey shooting 44% from 3 to start the season. Now the team's offense is worse when he's on the court, and their net rating is terrible when he's on the court. They're actually winning his minutes without him for a while. So when that goes down, I don't expect that to be sustainable. But the fact that he is even shooting for a small period of time, is shooting 44% for 3. I didn't even know he's capable of that. I think it's literally like 12 attempts. It's not a lot. But I once again, I'm not trying to hand it to him at all. But if we're talking about the 2021 draft class, the only guy who hasn't played this year Jalen Johnson's been kind of up and down. I've been kind of disappointed with his performance so far, but he had a little bit of a breakout last night. And the only guy that hasn't played is Trey Murphy, and otherwise, these guys all look awesome. Like it's starting to come into it. It was an overhyped draft class for a while. It's starting to find a groove a little bit now that they're in their age 22, age 23 season.
So I want to point out again that Trill led this off talking about Jalen Green, and how Jalen Green has.
I started with Franz, to be clear.
Okay, that's true. You did. Jalen Green. I'm just gonna say, when you shoot 11 threes a game and you're shooting 41% from three, it's almost impossible to look bad.
Yes.
That is true. I was going to bring up Jalen Johnson, who has a almost team worst -2 VORP.
Unbelievable. You would slander Jalen Johnson like this. He's really taken those Ben Simmons comps to heart, though.
Yes, he has. The only one worse is Ricochet, who's worst analytics on the Hawks. Trey Murphy taking shots at women, our queens, by endorsing Brandon Ingram's shot over Anthony Simons.
He's having a negative impact on the culture.
Yeah, that's negative. That's a negative impact on the culture. For
anyone who missed this, he made a joke about Brandon Ingram, who shares the same it's his ex. He had a child with her, and now she has a kid with Anthony Simons, I think.
Yes,
that's
correct.
The T,
Yep.
I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, so they have the same, and she he ended up making a joke about that. So tisk.
After Ingram hit the shot
over Anthony Simons.
He said, "Tell her
kick a guy while he's down. Come on,
tell her who better." Objectively pretty funny, but that's disappointing.
The biggest disappointment of the year, Trey Murphy.
It's very disappointing. The fact that Josh Giddey is up there. Cade Cunningham hasn't won a game yet.
After you just argued that the Pistons are...
Davion Mitchell and Zaire Williams are both playing rotation minutes for their respective teams.
Hey, respect Zaire Williams.
I will not. I will not be doing that. I'm having a hard time arguing
pushing back here.
Yeah, it's been pretty. Isaiah Jackson hasn't played a game yet this year. Josh Christopher's out of the league.
Oh, I forgot about Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas has the October Cam Thomas is the greatest scorer that we've ever seen, dude. A year ago at this time, we were like, is this guy a star? And now he's started even better this year.
Oh God. It's hard to make the argument. I'm going to be honest. There's not a lot of it's mostly just like the guys who are out of the league. It is kind of turning into like one of the really good draft classes. How's Herb Jones been this year? Can I slander Herb Jones?
I can't remember, to be honest. I mean, the Pelicans have been kind of weird.
Also a negative VORP. So
unbelievable, Herb. They should trade him.
48 true shooting.
Gross.
Gross. Yeah, you got to trade him now.
Can you salary dump him possibly for KJ Martin and 2 first-round picks? Just
is that true? What Mateo said that Isaiah Jackson played last night?
No, I guess Basketball Reference hasn't updated yet.
Shit. All right. Well,
well, fuck.
I can't even. I'm doing my best.
Cam Thomas, by the way, 30.7 points per game.
Yeah.
5.3 rebounds, 2.7 assists. And I believe his true shooting is over 60%. Hold on. His true shooting is 62.3%. We're so back, baby. Cam Thomas. I never left. Hooper Nirvana. I think we ranked the 25 players under 25 and we didn't include Cam Thomas. I do think he at least deserves an honorable mention. Because, like, if he is just, like, going to have months where he's, like, amazing scoring-wise, there's going to be a team that talks themselves into him and being, like, an awesome six-man.
I just, like, for the play, it's so different talking about, like, the playoffs versus, like, just being a regular stats. Like,
his defense is still really bad. But also, draft pick bias. I always try to push back against draft pick bias.
Yep.
just because he was at the end of the first round doesn't mean that he doesn't have potential to be like a really good NBA player. Like, and I still think that people do hold on to that. It's just more the archetype of player that he is. That is why we're resistant to it, where he's such a heat check guy, where it's like he'll have stretches where he looks like this, and then he has stretches where he looks like completely unplayable, hijacks the offense, is terrible on defense. I want it to happen for Cam Thomas. I really do. Okay. I hope that it works out for him, and I hope that he's like awesome. He's a fun player to watch when he's cooking, but then again, it's also funny just to drive Will and Nets fans insane. Who, a lot of Nets fans like him though.
That's true.
They're high on him. They're high on Cam.
Not the ones I talk to, but sure. All right, so we're back. I'm doing a we're back. Huh?
Okay.
I'll follow your lead. I'm going non-team here.
Okay.
Julius Randle Hive. I want you to stand up. I want you to stand the fuck up, Julius Randle Hive. I'm going to stand with you. We're going to walk hand in hand. We're going to, all the blog boys, all the naysayers, you say he's the worst playoff player ever objectively just because of stats and how games went.
He's the worst player since Ronnie the Rat Wilkes.
Yep.
Who played for the Atlanta Braves when it was that they used to call them the Atlanta Braves?
Who do you think is more important? Playing well in the playoffs or playing well during the first 3 games of the season while the team that traded you away is sucking ass? I know which way I'm going.
You've always sided with the regular season guys. I know Sam.
Yes.
Sam hates playoff risers. Yeah. He loves regular season guys.
Correct. Yeah. And the thing I love most about Julius Randle's play right now is how sustainable it is. He's a career 53 3-point percentage guy. His field goal percentage is
53% from 3.
He's a 62% shooter from the field. That's just like a fact.
This is special.
That's an objective fact that I've learned about it. His true shooting right now is 72.3. I see no reason that would
ever regress.
Yeah. He's figured it out. And I think this new team really works for him. A genuine thing. He's not shooting a lot of mid-rangers right now.
Which is so weird. We had a Knicks fan friend of ours reach out and who, by the way, just to give you a perspective on this quote unquote Knicks fan friend. Okay, this is our Knicks fan friend, quote unquote, who is a quote unquote Knicks fan who loves Steph and Jokic and basically abandoned the Knicks when they sucked. And then got back into the Knicks when they got Julius Randle because he was like the heart and soul of the team, and he loved to watch just Randle drag this franchise back to relevance. And then the second they got Jalen Brunson and got good again, he stopped caring about them. And was
like me with Smart.
It's incredible because I was like, how are you not like you're a nerd and Brunson is like a nerd favorite, and he's like, it's just not this like he's like I like game breaking offensive players. Like I like Jokic, I like Steph, I like guys who will make a team. He's like Brunson is just kind of like a heliocentric dribble the ball 100 times. Oh, but he loves King Julius and his spirit of just dragging New York Knicks back. And how do they repay him? They shoot him in the back of the head when he's not looking. They send him to Minnesota and they say, "Give us your worst defending center, and we will send you." Look, I'm happy for Julius Randle. I hope that he has a bounce back season because I do think that he's another guy that look, I slander him all the time just because I find his game to be horrible to watch. And also he's a playoff dropper, but like there's no fun in slandering Julius Randle. Like there's not many.
There's also no argument you could make right now.
I was going to say it's
bulletproof.
He's the only He's the best player in the NBA right now. There's not many people on the other side of this argument, so it's not a lot of fun to make. But I will say the reason why I don't believe in this is that old habits die hard, and I will believe that Julius Randle is a Morey ball player when I am on my fucking deathbed. Because there ain't no fucking way this guy is not just has the fucking devil on his ear. Take a 17-footer. Take a fade away. bully your way to the basket. Try to draw a foul. Go Andre Drummond mode and get 4 offensive rebounds on 1 possession. Derail the whole offense, Julius. You are him. I know that's gonna happen. I know it's gonna happen, but I hope he has I definitely hope he has a bounce back year. But I definitely think that it's a little fugazi to start the year. Look, if they could get him to be a threes and rim guy, I mean that would be one of the greatest. Like I would have to give Coach Finch Coach of the Year.
Yeah,
Finch, like I would have to give it to him.
If Finch pulled that off, it would be genuinely like game changing.
This is bullshit. I'm seeing in the comments that people are saying I don't like hoopers. If Julius Randle's a hooper, then yes, I hate hoopers. Julius Randle is to watch him when he really like any player when their shot is falling is going to look awesome. The majority of Julius Randle's game is like pull my eyes out. It's so bad to watch. But once again, I don't want to hate him. I want him to do well. Forget it. We're moving on to the next thing, and I will do. We'll do one more. It's over. We'll do one more. We're back each. And I didn't want to have to do this, but we're back to it's over. I have 2 things I want to loop in here. It pains me to say this. It's over for my Philadelphia 76ers. We just got fined because Joel Embiid, they're not reporting that his knee is actually injured. I've been coping this whole time by saying, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Sometimes guys have weird recoveries from this meniscus surgery. It takes time. The team's being cautious. Don't worry. They're saving him for the NBA Cup and for the playoffs. He's going to play 50 games. He's going to be healthy in April, in May, and June, and we're going to win the fight. Don't worry about it. Do not worry. And Paul George, he's fine too. Don't worry about him. Yeah, he's missing the first 4 games of the season, 5 games of the season. Who cares? They'll be back. Don't worry about it. It's over, dude. Tyrese Maxey has no fucking help. I love Tyrese with all my life. He's not looking like a first option right now. The playmaking has not developed in the way that I would hope it would. They're basically trying to go helio ball usage through the roof with him. I think he has one of the 5 highest usage rates in the NBA right now, which is just not his game at all. His creations look better, but the shots ain't going in. It's really been a tough start to the season. They should be 0-3 right now. And honestly, if it weren't for Maxey and Drummond being heroic in that Pacers game the other day, they would be 0-3, staring down the barrel of losing Joel Embiid for an even further extended period of time. You can't sit there and tell me, oh yeah, 2 weeks. We were going to hold about the first 2 weeks of the season. Now the league is saying that they're lying about his injury. Like they can't ever be fucking normal. And now like even if Joel's out for a month and he comes back, is he ever going to be the same? Like it's been months since he hurt his knee. He played in the Olympics, did not look like himself. Paul George has not played a game as a Sixer yet. And we're going to be over a week into the season when they play their next game. He hurt his knee 2 weeks ago. Even if he comes back, are they good enough without Joel Embiid to make the playoffs? If he misses an extended period of time? I don't think so. I think it's Jover. Anyway.
All right. YKB fans, you just heard Trill show his true colors. Okay.
Fire Nick Nurse. And
he doesn't believe. Okay. He doesn't believe the way real Sixers fans like you and me do. Okay. He doesn't understand that what does Daryl Morey value more than anything in his entire life?
NFTs.
Oh, okay. Yes. What does he value the second most of anything in his entire life?
Freedom of speech.
Yes. Followed by his family, followed by information.
Followed by musical theater. Mm-hmm. Small ball. Go see it.
Information. Daryl Morey is waging an information war campaign on the NBA. And I believe
this is InfoWars.
The NBA is falling for it, is what I'm hearing. Okay.
Oh shit. Okay.
This is what Adam Silver wants to make the league all about transactions, gambling, all this stuff, all sorts of everything.
Sorry, I'm on Tankathon.
Trill pulled up Tankathon and is just simming right now.
Hold on. We have a top 5 protected pick. We're up. We got Ace Bailey, baby. We didn't get Cooper Flag, but Ace Bailey, you are Philadelphia 76er. Congratulations, the pride of Rutgers.
Daryl Morey believes information is the key to this league. Why would he willingly provide information to the NBA? Even amidst an investigation, he is like a squid. He is going to squirt in a murky ink smoke screen. Yeah, he's going to squirt. He's going to squirt a smoky ink screen that will protect everything. So if you're a Eastern Conference team right now, you're looking around the landscape, you're going, okay, I've got to worry about the Celtics. That's probably the team I've got to build my team around beating. Okay.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about the Sixers are done, right? Like everyone's saying Joel's hurt. Why would you do that? Who is like some of the most oppositional play style in the NBA? That's right. The Philadelphia 76ers and the Boston Celtics. So if everyone's gearing up to play teams with 2 wings, creation, not really considering a center that might be injured. Yeah. Why would they plan around getting a Joel Embiid stopper if he's just going to be hurt all year?
Genius.
This is where Daryl Morey has gone on. Joel Embiid has actually never been more healthy. This is the most healthy he's ever been in his entire career. Daryl Morey is controlling the drip of information. He is spinning everything. He had Paul George make a weird little move to make it look like he, hyperextended something. Didn't happen. It's fake. It was doctor. That was a deep fake. It is actually not Jover the second Joel Embiid comes back. And
I totally agree with Sam. We're back. I was Doomer. You have defeated me. Sam wins. Sam wins here. I have given in to the moral and ethical argument that you have made. You were just destroying me with knowledge and information.
Facts and logic.
Facts and logic are just I'm on my ass due to facts and logic.
Dropping the bit. It's the same thing the Sixers always have. If they are healthy, they will be okay.
I love to be the new Clippers.
And the East, genuine, that is what they are. They are Clippers East. And if there's ever a time, honestly, they're in better shape than they were last year, even because I think the East there's more genuinely bad teams in the East. So like they are going to be the worst case scenario for them is that they are in the play-in, but if they're healthy, they can do anything. So,
yep. Yeah, we're back. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Now you have to pick, and it's over, and I have to argue. We're back. Then we'll do one more each, and then we're done.
Okay. All right. So we're on to it's overs. Now.
You're on it's over. Yeah.
Let's do another player. How many picks would someone have to attach to take on the Bam Adebayo contract? 6? 7?
I was not expecting that.
5 and a swap. All right, five and a swap, right? Like at the minimum.
Flirting. All right, before I have to argue about the other side of this.
Okay. Yeah.
Flirting. Bam Adebayo making $50 million plus a year.
Yeah.
Harassment. Nicholas Claxton, who provides you with almost the same exact thing, making $25 million a year.
Much to consider. Now the Heat have good defense, supposedly. Bam is shooting a whopping 38% from the field so far this year. He has a BPM of negative 3.7 in the early going.
Not great.
He has a defensive rebound rate of 18.8, which for your center is dismal. Truly terrible. He is at least not turning the ball over. So he's got that going for him.
All right.
I just here's my thing with Bam Adebayo. To stop making a joke. if he kind of gotten by on being a number like 3 option that we've allowed to scale up as like a number 2 option just because of the Miami Heat devil magic kind of coming into form around him. Because again,
offensively, yes. Defensively, he's like still very good, but yes.
I think he's defensively he's like still very good, but like what is a defensive center to the point that you just made accidentally handing it to me? What is that a $50 million player to have a one-way player? Like Rudy Gobert, is he better than Rudy Gobert? Like is he new Rudy Gobert just dropped?
I mean, it's possible. Hold on, let me slip into Miami Heat mode real quick.
Okay.
First off, Tua is fine. His CTE is fake. He's going to be okay. Kamala Harris is a communist, and you should vote for Donald Trump in this upcoming election. We're going to turn the whole country red. Anyway, continue. Let me continue. Here's the thing. I've made this argument time and time again. Bam Adebayo needs to have a high leverage playmaker. He's innocent due to the fact that Jimmy Butler is just not Jimmy Butler anymore. And if they were to give him a James Harden, Luka Doncic, Trae Young, whoever, you would be fine with him as your second offensive option. The Miami Heat have made it a failure of a team. They are failing Bam. He's not failing them, is my argument that I'm going to make.
Okay.
Because defensively, if you have Bam, you're still going to have one of the 5 to 10 best defenses in the NBA. Probably top, and especially when you get to the playoffs, the fact that he can switch on the perimeter, the fact that he can do a lot of the things that Rudy can't even do. You know what I mean? Like, Rudy's a better rim protector and rebounder, sure. Bam is going to do what you want to do when you get to the higher levels of the playoffs, and that's why they've been such a successful playoff defense in the past.
What do you think is more likely if Bam were to get traded? That it would become evident that Spoelstra is a Bam merchant, or that Bam is a Spoelstra merchant?
Your Honor, I plead the fifth.
Tell me you can't see somebody trading for Bam and just immediately it's very clear that he is Nick Claxton. Like,
look, we just unveiled a statue for Dwayne Wade this past week.
Mr. Freeze. The Arnold Schwarzenegger Mr. Freeze.
Looks like Stone Cold Steve Austin. One day we're going to have a statue right next to his, and it's going to be Bam Adebayo when he makes the 3-point shooting leap. I can't even get through it. You're going to be crying when he's the next Brooks Lopez / Al Horford in his 30s.
Everyone knows.
Throw up.
You know what I was just about to say? I was about to say everybody knows year 10 or what is it? Year 9? No, it's year 8 for him. Year 7. Year 7 when you make leap. It's when you develop your 3-point shot. But
hold on, Tom Haberstroh
genuinely did that.
Okay, but hold on. Let's discuss the difference between that.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Connor and Tom Haberstroh have both made this argument. It's a common sentiment among nerds. Yeah. Brook Lopez and Al Horford made those transitions because the league changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
They always had amazing touch around the basket. They always were decent free throw shooters. They were mid-range guys.
Yeah.
Bam has never been a good long 2 shooter even. He's an average free throw shooter. I know I'm making the argument that I should be making, but dropping kayfabe here, like, he really should, like, Bam might be an average 3-point shooter on low volume. He will never be a high volume 40% 3-point shooter, 38% 3-point shooter, which is what those guys have become. Like, that's the level that we're talking about here. Like, Brook Lopez has been above average most years. And he shoots from fucking far as shit, too. Him and Al both have real range. So, like, the thing about the Bam conversation that drives me insane is that he's never been a good long 2s guy. He's an average free throw shooter. He has decent touch around the basket. He's not, like, an elite guy. I know he's a really good dunker, but, like, it's not like he's, like, fucking, you know, he's actually statistically one of the worst high-volume jump shooters in the NBA. I just don't understand where the argument came from that he was going to make this leap. The reason why those guys changed is because the league changed. Bam could have been shooting threes 3 years ago. I think he's 0 for 6 to start the year. It ain't going to happen. He might have a year or two there, but like it's not going to be something that's and honestly, I don't think he needs to. I don't know why he needs to. The reason why they'll say he needs to is because he wants to play the 4, but like, sorry, dude, you got to play the 5. like you're just like you have to be a good shooter if you're going to play the 4. It's the Jaren Jackson Jr. thing. Like Jaren Jackson Jr. isn't even a good shooter for a 4, but he has to be able to put those shots up and make at least 33% of them in order to play the 4, because otherwise it's not tenable in the modern NBA to have that lack of spacing.
I'll say this, Jaren Jackson Jr., I was like ready to crush Jaren Jackson Jr. because I knew Santi Aldama was like, I've been watching Santi Aldama turn into Steph Curry. So I was like, oh, he's got to be like destroying Jaren's plus minuses. I got to use this for an agenda thing. Number 1 in the Grizzlies in plus minus. I'm also tracking this for Smart.
And it's also, I'm aware of why you're tracking it. I was going to say, also it's 4 games and he's only played in 2, I think.
Oh, is that why? Okay.
Which, I mean, could work in his favor too if he's leading the team at plus minus. Is that on an average game basis or overall?
No, total.
Okay, well then that's good for him.
Yeah,
Jaren Jackson Jr. is good. We never said he wasn't good. We said he's going to be a high impact.
I suggested he wasn't good.
I was gonna say, during the fall off draft, I think when we talked about him, we said we both agreed that he was always going to be like a decent level starter.
Yeah, for sure. It's just the rebound. It's just so hard when you get like no rebound.
But if Santi can shoot, and Edie made it 3 the other night, it takes a little bit of pressure off him and makes him maybe more he can lean in on his strengths as opposed to some of his weaknesses. So
if he gets to Rob Williams it, we get to say it. I've already addressed this ethical. He was plus 14 in that game, by the way. Plus 14.
For anyone who's listening, Keith from Fast Break Breakfast tweeted out and said, "Hey, do you want to see a dead body?" And it's Marcus Smart's shot chart. He's shooting 30% at the rim, 25% above the break, 25% from the left wing, 25% from the right wing. He hasn't made a corner 3 all year, and he's made 1 shot from the mid range the entire season. Start the year, not great. He's shooting in the 20s, I think.
He's playing. I've been very consistent on this. His worst position is small forward. He's playing incredibly out of position, and they're still winning his minutes. So
23-16 splits, 7 points a game.
Yep, this is made up thing. I'm just saying, like, if it's so bad, how is he winning plus minus? How is he 3rd on the Grizzlies in plus minus behind Jaren Jackson Jr. and Brandon Clark? If this is so detrimental to the team.
God, it's so funny that I had to argue for Bam Adebayo, and now I'm pulling up his on-offs from the last year and a half, or not even year and a half, year and 4 games, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I am just floored every time I look at this. They have a 112 offensive rating in the minutes that Bam Adebayo plays in the last year and 4 games. That's like
not good.
I mean, that's a bad offense. Like that's like
it's the Pistons basically.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah,
it's tough. But all right. And it was anyway. I'm not making this argument anymore. We'll do 2 more, one each. We're back, and then we're good.
Okay.
So I'll go first.
Sure.
I have a few things here.
Okay.
See, I didn't know whether I wanted to go it's over or we're back for the Bulls. Because do they want to lose?
They're ruining their draft pick.
They have a top 10 protected pick that's going to the Spurs. Is their destiny just to make the play-in and get the 11th pick sent to San Antonio?
That would be so fucking awesome, man. That would be so awesome.
The Zach LaVine comeback here. We joked about Ben Simmons being the guy to ruin the tank. It seems like it's going to be Zach LaVine who ruins the tank. He's shooting 100%, over 100% effective field goal percentage on catch and shoots to start the year. I mean, he is been on fire to start this season, which, look, we all knew Zach LaVine's good at basketball. It's just he had a weird few years where he was kind of relegated to 2nd or 3rd option and didn't quite fit with DeMar. And then he had injuries, and then he hated the team. It does seem like he definitely wants to get traded. We'll see who takes that contract. So I'm still of the opinion that Zach LaVine would be fine as, like, if he was on like the Lakers or the Sixers as like a 2nd or 3rd option. He's just always been overtasked and played with stars that he doesn't fit with in a Maxey style role. Basically, that's kind of always been my thing with LaVine. But We'll see. I don't want to do that one just because I think that I don't know which direction to pick, but the Bulls have looked pretty good so far to start the year. At least like a normal team. So I'll just do it. I could have picked the Cavs too, just because the Cavs are the only team other than the Celtics and the Thunder that haven't lost a game so far. They've looked awesome. Darius Garland's returned to form. I could have picked the Suns, who actually have looked pretty good since I think they lost the first game of the season. The second game of the season. I could have picked LaMelo Ball, who I was a little bit worried about, who's been on a heater to start the year. But we're going Uno mode.
Let's go. The
Clippers are back, baby. I was so low on them. They're not really actually back, but I'm making the argument.
Uno's back.
Uno is a floor-raising GOAT. Put respect on this man's name, dude.
Yeah.
Put respect on James Harden, dude. For every player in NBA history, there has been no one who has gotten more shit than James Harden. From boomers, from the media, from fans, from everyone. And all he does is give you a top offense every time he's on the court in the regular season. At a minimum. This guy right now, through a few games, all right, I'm not going to read their offensive rating because it doesn't agree with what I'm arguing. Dude, hold on. He's averaging 25, 8, and 12 with 36, 19, and 90 splits and 6.7 turnovers a game.
Let's go. Usage God.
By the way, shout out to I can't remember his name right now, but there was a Clippers fan that listens to the podcast that commented on our breakout draft one. Mm-hmm. And he said, what about Zubac as a potential breakout player? You guys didn't mention him. And I totally forgot about him as a potential breakout player because I was like, he's a role player. Like, I know Clippers fans have been trying to put this into existence for a while now, but to start the year, he's currently averaging 22.7 points per game on almost 60% from the field, 4.3 assists.
That's insane.
And 14 rebounds a game.
That's fucking insane.
And they have an insane defense with Derek Jones Jr., Chris Dunn, Batum. What we've seen through a few games is kind of the of the idea of what they could possibly be if Kawhi were healthy is very tantalizing to me. I just don't think Kawhi is going to be healthy. Like if you could get me a guarantee that Kawhi plays 50 games, I would probably be reconsidering taking back that they were going to be like the 12 seed or wherever I picked them in the preseason. Because Zubac looks awesome. Harden is still Harden, even if he has all of his flaws and his warts. They have real defensive talent around these guys, and if we could just get Kawhi for 50 games, I would feel really good. I don't think we're going to get it, but at least we'll get the Uno revenge tour. And Zubac is really being lifted up by Uno in these games, and I mean, he's basically doubled his stats from last year in terms of assists and points so far to start the season. So, like, I mean, I'm looking at Zubac's stats, and I'm like, those are better than like underrated offensive player, quote unquote, Bam Adebayo's.
Okay. You've put me in a corner because I don't really want to argue against the GOAT Harden. However, if we are going to split some hairs here, 52 true shooting percentage.
Read the stats again, dude. They're so good. 25, 8, 12 on 36, 19, 90.
That's amazing. It's so good.
Single-handedly took down Jokic the other way in Denver.
21 turnover percentage. I've never seen anything like that. That is unreal.
King,
under a steal a game for him. I mean, like, look, it is if you're going to make me be the fun police, they're not good. Objectively not good.
No.
I think that it's
come on.
I think that it's obviously an inflation. He's become Cam Thomas West. And
no, Cam Thomas has been way more efficient.
That's true. That is true. I don't know. I'm just gonna say this, Trill. You would not catch me dead defending a shooting guard that's actually bad, playing for a bad team. So with my next pick, I'm going to select Jordan Poole as the we're back candidate.
Before you read off his stats,
Yep.
Norm Powell, first 3 games, 25 points on 51% from the field right now. Norm Powell. They wrote him off. They wrote him off 40% from 3 on 8 threes per game. He did not write back.
No, he didn't write back.
Said he was one of the worst contracts in the NBA.
He's back.
Anyway.
Where do you think Jordan Poole is in usage, if you had to guess? Because you obviously know that he's shooting very well. Where do you think he is in usage?
12th.
He is 61st in usage.
A new day for Jordan Poole.
Playing within himself. Just normal 19th in the NBA in true shooting percentage, behind only such all-stars as Peyton Pritchard and Julius Randle.
Wow.
Genuinely a shocking assist rate, though. One of the best assist rates in the NBA at 29.1 early on. So he's like actually kind of playing like a
he's
genuine
back to Golden State Jordan Poole, where he played within his role and was just like.
I like the usage is like he's not hijacking the offense. He's just kind of shooting what now again he is shooting a little above his head.
61% from 3.
That there's a chance that comes back down to earth. Maybe. However, there are courtside baddies every night.
Clearly,
games.
They were definitely at that Celtics game I watched.
Yeah,
By the way, have you ever seen a crowd deader than the Wizards crowd this year, dude?
Dude.
It's like a funeral.
It's tough. It's really tough for them.
It's just all other teams' fans.
Yeah, it's really hard and tough for them to figure that out. But I think I just think I'm genuinely like dropping the bid. I am kind of genuinely impressed with Jordan Poole. I do know that like this is probably obviously he's not going to keep shooting like this, but if he can be a normal player, they might be able to, not this year, but they might be able to trade him before the end of that contract to like a real team, like as an expiring, to be like kind of a useful player for someone. Like he's playing his way into that contract not being like an albatross if he can be even half of what he's been so far in this year.
I'm not going to push back against this because Warriors fans deserve this. I'm sorry, Wizards fans deserve a W. They got Bilal's playing real nice. Bub's starting to look like he belongs a little bit. He had a nice game last night, I think.
Yeah.
Poole, if he shoots 60% from 3 for the whole year, in my opinion, he'll be an all-star.
You know, I agree with you.
They'll be able to get up that they'll get value back for that contract if he shoots 60% from 3. All right. Let's wrap this up. This was fun. We'll be back for the Patreon episode later in the week. By the way, if you want to go to New Orleans with us, we're going to New Orleans. I'll put all of the stuff in the description. We're going to be doing Sixers game, Pelicans Sixers, live YKB, a ton of fun shit that whole weekend. We've sold a bunch of tickets already, so I'm very excited for that. If you guys can come, please come with. If not, sign up for the Patreon. We'll be back. I'll be streaming for Sixers Pistons on Wednesday. If you want to see me die, Tobias Harris and Cade Cunningham ending my life, join us on Playback. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Bye.